The night of the accident was supposed to be ordinary. A light rain was falling over the quiet highway as Daniel drove his motorcycle back home. He had just left his friend's house after a short visit, promising his mother he would be back before midnight. But he never made it. At exactly 11:47 p.m., a truck ran a red light at full speed. The impact was so violent that witnesses later said it felt like the road itself had screamed. When emergency services arrived, there was chaos. The motorcycle was destroyed beyond recognition. And Daniel was barely recognizable. His face was injured, his body broken, and in the confusion of the dark rainy night, identification became almost impossible. There were no clear documents. No immediate family on site. Just a shattered young man whose life seemed to have ended in seconds. At 12:32 a.m., the hospital made a decision that would change everything. Time of death, 12:32 a.m. But miles away, his mother, Sarah, was still awake. She had been waiting for him. The rain outside her house felt heavier than usual that night, as if the sky itself was mourning something she did not yet understand. Her phone rang. Unknown number. A doctor's voice came through. "Are you Mrs. Sarah Williams, mother of Daniel Williams?" That question was enough. Her hands went cold before the doctor even continued. "I'm sorry, there has been an accident." The world didn't collapse loudly. It collapsed silently. Sarah dropped the phone. It hit the floor, but she didn't hear it. The sound of her heartbeat was louder than everything else. No, 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 no. But deep down, she already knew. A mother always knows. The funeral was a blur of black clothes, silent tears, and faces she could not remember later. They told her the body was not fully identifiable, but there was no doubt in anyone's mind. The casket was closed. Sarah never saw him clearly again. She only remembered placing her hand on the cold wood and whispering, "If you are still there, please forgive me." Dirt fell slowly. Then faster. And with every sound of soil hitting the coffin, something inside her broke permanently. After the funeral, life stopped, but time didn't. Sarah stopped living. She only existed. Daniel's room remained untouched. His clothes stayed folded. His bed stayed made. His books stayed open exactly where he left them. Every Sunday, she visited his grave. Every Sunday, she spoke to him like he could hear her. And every night, she checked her phone, just in case. Just in case grief was wrong. Just in case death made a mistake. 2 years passed. Nothing changed. Until one night at 2:19 a.m. Sarah woke up suddenly. Not because of a sound. But because of a feeling. A pressure in her chest. A strange pull in the air. Like something was calling her name without using words. Her phone rang. She didn't even look at it at first. She already knew it was impossible. But then she saw the screen. Daniel. Her body froze. The phone kept ringing. Once. Twice. Again. Her hands trembled so badly she almost dropped it. No, this can't be. But her finger moved anyway. She answered. Silence. Then? A breath. Slow. Uncertain. Human. Mom. Sarah's entire body collapsed into fear and disbelief at the same time. That voice. It was his. Not similar. Not copied. Him. Mom, where am I? A pause. It's dark. I can't see anything. Sarah couldn't speak. Her throat refused to obey her. Her eyes filled instantly with tears. Daniel, she whispered. A shaky breath came through the phone. I don't understand. I remember the crash, then nothing, and now. I'm here. Sarah stood up so fast the chair fell behind her. Her mind was screaming one thing. This is impossible. Because she had seen his body. She had buried him. She had said goodbye. And yet, his voice was alive. I'm scared, Mom, the voice continued. It feels like I'm trapped. And then, a detail that froze her completely. I think I'm inside something small. It feels like wood around me. Sarah stopped breathing. Her eyes widened in horror. No. No, no, no. This couldn't be what it sounded like. Daniel, listen to me, she whispered, shaking. Tell me exactly what you see. A long silence. Then? It's completely dark, but I can feel something above me. Heavy. A pause. Like soil. Sarah's knees gave out. The phone slipped slightly in her hand. Her mind refused to accept what her heart was already fearing. Because if he was telling the truth, then she had buried him alive. Sarah stood in the middle of her room, the phone still pressed against her ear. But her body no longer felt like it belonged to her. On the other end, Daniel's breathing continued, slow, uneven, trapped. Mom, are you there? His voice repeated, weaker now. Sarah finally forced her voice out. I'm here. I'm here, Daniel. A pause. Relief and fear collided inside her chest at the same time. Mom. I don't know what's happening, he said. I feel like I can't move properly, like something is holding me down. Sarah closed her eyes tightly. Her mind was breaking between two realities. One where her son was dead and buried. And another where he was speaking from somewhere dark, and small, and buried. No, she whispered to herself. This can't be real. But his voice pulled her back. Mom, please don't hang up. That broke her. I won't, she said quickly. I won't hang up. Silence followed. Only his breathing remained. Sarah started walking around the room, shaking, trying to think, trying to survive the moment. This must be a prank, she whispered. Someone hacked the number, someone. But even she didn't believe it. Because no prank could copy a voice like that. Not the way he said, Mom. Not the fear inside it. Daniel, she said firmly, forcing control into her voice. Listen carefully. Where exactly are you right now? Try to feel Eve. Try to feel everything around you. A pause. I told you, it's dark, he replied. I can feel wood, very close. I can barely move my arms. Sarah's stomach dropped again. Wood. Close space. Darkness. Her thoughts screamed at her not to continue this line of questioning, but she had no choice. Daniel, she whispered. Do you remember anything after the accident? A long silence. Then his voice came, confused. I remember the rain, headlights, impact. And then nothing. His voice trembled. Mom, how long have I been gone? Sarah couldn't answer immediately. Her throat tightened painfully. 2 years, she finally said. Another silence. Then a broken breath. 2 years, he repeated slowly. But I feel like I just woke up. His voice cracked. I think I'm trapped in something. I think I'm. He stopped. Sarah froze. Daniel? What? What is it? His breathing became faster. I hear something, he whispered. Sarah's blood turned cold. What do you hear? A pause. Someone walking above me. Sarah's heart stopped. No, she whispered. No, no, no. Mom. I think I'm not alone here. Static suddenly cracked through the call. The signal weakened. Daniel. Sarah shouted. Daniel, stay with me. His voice came broken. Mom, battery is going. I don't know how this phone is still working. Don't you dare leave me, she cried. I'm trying, he said, panicked now. I don't want to be alone in here. Sarah was shaking uncontrollably. Daniel, listen to me. I'm going to find you. I don't know how, but I will. A sudden interruption. His voice changed slightly, like realization hitting him. Mom. Yes. I'm here. If I'm in something like this. A long pause. Then why does it feel like I was buried? Sarah's whole body went numb. Before she could answer, the line crackled violently. Mom. I can't. Daniel. I love you. The sound cut. Silence. Call ended. Sarah stood frozen, phone still in her hand. The screen returned to normal as if nothing had happened. No call history. No record. Nothing. Like it never existed. Her legs gave out and she collapsed onto the floor. But in her mind, one sentence kept repeating. He felt wood around him. That same night, Sarah didn't sleep. She drove to the cemetery at 4:03 a.m. The gates were locked. Rain had started again. She stood in front of Daniel's grave, staring at the cold earth. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely breathe. He called me, she whispered. From here. A long silence answered her. Only the wind moved through the trees. Sarah dropped to her knees. Her fingers touched the wet soil. And for the first time since the funeral, she started digging. The soil under Sarah's hands was cold, heavy, and uncooperative. But she didn't stop. Rain mixed with dirt as she dug deeper, her nails breaking, her fingers shaking, her breath coming in short broken gasps. Daniel, she kept whispering. I'm here. I'm here. The cemetery was silent except for the sound of her desperation. Minutes passed. Then an hour. Her strength started fading, but her mind refused to accept logic anymore. If he was not there, then where was he? A flashlight suddenly cut through the darkness. Sarah! A voice shouted from behind her. She turned sharply. It was Daniel's father, Mark. Soaked in rain, confused, breathing heavily. What are you doing here at this hour? He asked, rushing toward her. Have you lost your mind? Sarah stood up instantly, trembling. He called me, she said. Mark froze. What? He called me from his grave. A long silence. Only rain spoke for them. Mark slowly shook his head. Sarah, that's not possible. He was trapped, as she shouted suddenly, breaking down. He said he was in darkness. He said he could feel wood around him. Mark stepped back slightly, disturbed. That could be hallucination. Grief does this. No, she interrupted. I heard him. You didn't. Mark looked at the disturbed soil. then at her hands, then back at the grave. A heavy silence followed. Finally, he spoke in a lower tone. Even if what you're saying is true, we can't just dig him up like this. There are laws, procedures. I don't care about laws. Sarah cried. That is our son. Mark looked at her for a long moment. Something in her face broke him. Slowly, he exhaled. What exactly did he say? Sarah hesitated. Then she repeated everything. Word by word. The call. The darkness. The wood. The fear. Mark's expression changed slowly as she spoke. From doubt to confusion to something darker. Because one thing didn't make sense. If Daniel was buried, then how did he know what a coffin felt like? Mark stepped closer to the grave. Sarah, he said slowly. We need to go back. Where? To the hospital report. The next morning, they were at the city records office. A tired clerk handed them the file. Daniel Williams' accident report. Mark opened it. As he read, his face slowly changed. Sarah watched him. What is it? She asked. Mark didn't answer immediately. Then he spoke quietly. The body was never fully identified. Sarah froze. What do you mean? Mark turned the file toward her. The report says severe trauma, unrecognizable condition, partial remains only. Sarah's breathing stopped. No, she whispered. They told me it was him. Mark's voice dropped. They made an assumption. No proper DNA confirmation was finalized at the time. The room felt suddenly colder. Sarah stepped back. That means. Mark nodded slowly. We might have buried someone who was misidentified. Silence. Then Sarah whispered. Then Daniel could still be alive. Mark didn't answer. Because neither of them knew if that was hope or something worse. That night, Sarah returned home with trembling hands. She checked her phone repeatedly. Nothing. No call. No message. Just silence. Until 2:19 a.m. Ring. Her body reacted before her mind. The name on the screen appeared instantly. Daniel. She answered immediately. Daniel. A breath. Then his voice. Stronger this time. More stable. Mom, don't dig anymore. Sarah froze. What? I'm not in the grave. Her heart stopped. Mark, who had stayed with her, grabbed the phone instantly and put it on speaker. Daniel, he said sharply. Where are you? A pause. Then? I don't know exactly, Daniel replied. But I can feel something strange, like I'm in a facility, not underground. Sarah's knees weakened. What do you mean facility? She whispered. I hear machines sometimes, voices, but I can't move freely. Mark and Sarah exchanged shocked looks. Someone is keeping you there? Mark asked. Silence. Then Daniel's voice turned uncertain. I don't know. I think I survived the accident. But I was taken somewhere, and I don't remember how. Sarah covered her mouth. Tears filled her eyes. So you're alive, she whispered. A pause. Then Daniel answered softly. I think so, but something is wrong with my memory. And then his voice lowered. And I think someone doesn't want me to remember everything. Static began to grow again. Sarah panicked. Daniel, don't go. I'm losing connection again, he said quickly. Mom. Dad, please find me. Where are you? Mark shouted. But Daniel's voice was already fading. One more thing, Daniel whispered. Don't trust what they told you about me. Then? Silence. Call ended. Sarah stood still. Mark slowly lowered the phone. Neither of them spoke for a long time. Because everything had changed again. He wasn't in the grave. He wasn't. He wasn't clearly alive. But he was somewhere. And someone was hiding the truth. Sarah whispered. Then who did we bury? The silence in the room after the call felt heavier than anything Sarah had ever experienced. Daniel was alive. But not free. Or worse, not safe. Mark sat on the edge of the couch, staring at the phone like it might speak again. Sarah stood near the window, her reflection trembling in the glass. So everything we believed, she whispered, was a lie. Mark didn't answer immediately. Then he spoke quietly. Not necessarily a lie. A mistake, or something worse. Sarah turned sharply. What could be worse than burying your own child? Mark looked at her. Someone making sure we believed he was dead. That sentence changed the air in the room. Cold silence followed. The next morning, they went back to the accident files again. This time, they didn't stop at the hospital report. They requested police records, witness statements, and CCTV logs from the highway. Hours passed. Then something strange appeared. A witness statement that hadn't been mentioned before. A truck driver who arrived minutes after the crash. His words were inconsistent, but disturbing. He was still breathing, the report said. Sarah's hands started shaking. Mark leaned closer. Read that again. Sarah swallowed hard. He said the boy was still breathing, and someone was already at the scene before emergency services arrived. Mark's eyes narrowed. Someone got there first. A long pause. Sarah whispered. And took him. That night, Sarah couldn't sleep again. At 2:19 a.m., she waited. And like clockwork. Ring. Daniel. She answered instantly. Daniel. A breath. Then his voice. But this time, it was different. More controlled. Less panicked. Mom. I'm remembering more now. Sarah sat up. What are you remembering? A pause. Lights. A room. People talking. Not doctors. Not nurses. Mark grabbed the phone, listening closely. Describe them, he said firmly. Daniel hesitated. I can't see faces clearly, but they ask me questions. Every day. The same questions. Sarah felt chills. About what? She whispered. About what I remember from the crash. A pause. Then Daniel added something that froze them both. But I think they already knew my answers before I spoke. Mark stood up instantly. This is not medical, he muttered. This is interrogation. Sarah's voice broke. Who would do that? Daniel's voice lowered. I don't know, but I think I'm not the only one. Silence. What do you mean? Mark asked. A long pause. Then Daniel whispered. There are others like me. Sarah's breath stopped. What others? She asked. People who survived things they weren't supposed to survive, but they're kept somewhere, hidden. Mark's face tightened. This is starting to sound like a facility, he said. Daniel replied softly. I think I'm part of something I don't understand yet. Then suddenly, his voice changed again. More urgent. Mom, listen carefully. Sarah leaned forward. What is it? They know I'm talking to you. Sarah froze. Mark's eyes widened. Who knows? He asked sharply. Daniel didn't answer immediately. Then, a whisper. The one's keeping me. Static exploded through the line. Sarah panicked. Daniel, where are you right now? His voice broke through the noise. I don't have much time, they're coming back. Mark shouted. Run. But Daniel's voice was fading. I'm trying. Sarah was crying now. Please don't leave me again. A final pause. Then Daniel whispered something that shattered them both. Mom, I think I was never meant to come back. And then, silence. Call ended. Sarah collapsed onto the floor. Mark stood frozen, processing everything. This isn't an accident anymore, he said quietly. It's a cover-up. Sarah wiped her tears. Then we find him, she said firmly. Mark looked at her. And if it's dangerous? Sarah stood up slowly. Then I don't care. A long silence. Then Mark nodded. Then we go to the only person who can help us expose this. Sarah frowned. Who? Mark replied. Someone who works inside the system. He grabbed his phone. And knows how to open doors that are supposed to stay closed. Mark drove through the city in silence. Sarah sat in the passenger seat, staring at her phone like it was a lifeline that could vanish at any second. Daniel hadn't called back. Not since the last message. They know I'm talking to you. Those words kept repeating in her mind like a warning she couldn't escape. Finally, the car stopped in front of an old building on the outskirts of the city. No signboard. No name. Just a security gate. Mark got out first. This is it, he said. We already can't close it. 2 hours later, they were inside a restricted archive room. The man placed a thin file on the table. No official record of survival, he said. But there was something unusual. Sarah opened it. Her hands froze. Medical notes. Emergency logs. Internal annotations. Then one line caught her eye. Subject transferred before identity confirmation completed. Mark leaned in. Transferred where? The man replied slowly. To a private recovery facility not registered under government hospitals. Sarah's breath stopped. Private, she whispered. He nodded. After high-risk accidents, unidentified survivors are sometimes moved off record for experimental treatment. Mark's face tightened. This is illegal. The man looked at him. Yes. Sarah's voice broke. Daniel is in one of these places. A pause. Then the man added. And if he contacted you, it means the system failed to contain him. Silence. Then Sarah whispered. What happens when it fails? The man looked at her directly. They erase the connection. Mark's eyes widened. You mean? Yes, the man interrupted. Anyone trying to trace him will be blocked. Cut off. Or worse. Sarah stood up immediately. I don't care. Tell me where he is. The man hesitated. then slowly pushed a map forward. There is one facility that matches the patterns. A location appeared. Outside the city. Isolated. Unlisted. Sarah stared at it. He's there, she whispered. That night, Daniel called again. To 19 a.m. Sarah answered instantly. Daniel. His voice was weaker now. Mom, don't come here. Sarah froze. What? We found you. A pause. Then Daniel's voice trembled. No, you found the place they want you to find. Mark grabbed the phone. What does that mean? Daniel replied urgently. This facility, it's not what you think. It's not about recovery. Sarah's heart pounded. Then what is it about? A long silence. Then? They study people who shouldn't have survived. Mark went silent. Sarah whispered. Study. Daniel's voice dropped even lower. And I think I'm not the first one they brought back. Static began to rise again. Sarah panicked. We're coming for you right now. Daniel's voice broke through. Listen to me. If you enter that place, they will reset everything. Mark frowned. Reset. Daniel hesitated. Then said the final words. Your memories, your evidence, even your belief that I ever called you. Sarah froze completely. What are you saying? She whispered. Daniel's voice softened. I think I've only been able to reach you because something is breaking inside the system, but it's closing again. Sarah cried out. Daniel, don't leave us again. A long pause. Then his voice, quiet and final. Mom, if I disappear after this, don't stop. And then silence. Call ended. Sarah stood frozen. Mark slowly put the phone down. This isn't rescue anymore, he said. Sarah looked at him. What is it then? Mark's expression hardened. It's infiltration. He grabbed his jacket. And if Daniel is telling the truth, we only have one chance before everything gets erased. Sarah wiped her tears. No matter what happens. Mark nodded. We go tonight. That night, they reached the facility. A massive structure hidden behind trees and fencing. No lights. No signs. Just silence. Sarah whispered. This is where he is. Mark checked the gate. It's locked. Sarah looked at it. No, she said quietly. It's waiting.